On a whim, in the summer of 2015, I decided to sign up for sailing classes to surprise one of my friends. As it turned out, the big surprise was how much I loved sailing. I knew right away that I wanted to buy my own boat, see the world, and someday get my boat captain's license. Before I owned a boat, I sailed on other people's boats for 3 years. During that time, I told dozens of people that I wanted to buy my own blue water sailboat. One Monday, at the end of November, one of those people contacted me and told me to check out the boat for sale next to them in the boatyard. By Saturday, I was the owner of a 1965 Tartan 27 yawl. There are only 2 seasons in Chicago: boating season and waiting for boating season. Buying a boat in November means I had a long waiting for boating season ahead of me. One way I passed the time was by taking a 2-day-long safety at sea course. The first day consisted of classroom work. The second day, we got to actually try out all sorts of crazy things like climbing into life rafts, lighting flares on fire, and putting out fires. Rather unexpectedly, I got the opportunity to sail 900 nautical miles in the Caribbean, from Guadeloupe to Turks and Caicos. This trip marked the first time I ever sailed on the ocean. This trip was also the first time I had to do overnight watch shifts. On the last leg of the trip, we traveled from Puerto Rico to Turks and Caicos nonstop. Our travel time was nearly 3.5 days. There were only 2 of us on board, so we did 4-hour shifts in the day and 3-hour shifts at night. This trip was all about moving the boat from point A to point B, so I didn't really get to snorkel or dive or even set foot on most of the islands. I definitely plan to go back on my own boat. Finally, on May 23rd, after owning a boat for almost 7 months, I launched it for the first time. Launching a boat in Chicago is both thrilling and terrifying. The boat is stored on the Chicago River, and there are 18 bridges that you must go under to get from where it's stored out to Lake Michigan. They only open the bridges twice a week, once on Wednesdays and once on Saturdays. So it's you and a dozen other sailboats, plus all of the normal river traffic, all trying not to run into each other. They generally only open one bridge at a time. After the bridge closes, there's usually 10 minutes before the next one opens, so there's a lot of floating around and trying not to run into each other. After passing under Lakeshore Drive, we enter the Chicago Harbor Lock. As far as locks go, it's not a very tall one, only about 1 to 4 feet of lift. It's the 4th busiest lock in the nation for commercial use, and the 2nd busiest lock in the nation for recreational use. After exiting the lock, we pass by the iconic Navy Pier. From there, it's about 3.2 nautical miles to Belmont Harbor. I've done this trip a few times before, but it was always in somebody else's boat and they were in charge. Doing it on my own boat that I had never driven before, with a crew of people who'd never been on a boat before, definitely added a new level of excitement. Fortunately, the boat arrived safe and sound thanks to my crew. I spent the summer making all my friends go out sailing with me. The Chicago skyline is quite iconic and makes for a beautiful backdrop when sailing. One of my favorite times to sail is right as the sun is setting. Not only do you get beautiful views over the city, but you don't have to put on nearly as much sunscreen. This was the first time I sailed on a boat with a mizzen, and I have to say I really like the extra flexibility that you get with a yawl. Twice a week, fireworks are launched from a barge next to Navy Pier. I've seen a lot of fireworks in my life, but seeing them while on the water was a truly unique experience. In the next episode, I start a 5,000-mile boat trip to avoid winterizing my boat.